Okay, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I've got a little comparison video for you today, and it's the Srixon ZX5 driver against the ZX7. So it's been a while since I filmed and hit these drives. I think it was the original review video when they first launched, so I want to revisit that a little bit and maybe just compare the two models, you know, the 7 to the 5. What's the difference between these two drivers? What's the difference in the performance, and maybe what sort of type of player each of these models is really aimed at. Okay, so Srixon as a brand, obviously massive with the ball that they do, but maybe the clubs a little bit of an underdog, I always think, with Srixon, but they make some fantastic clubs. I've played the irons in the past and absolutely loved them. The drivers maybe always been a slight weakness possibly in their lineup, but again, I think they've got better over the years. I think this is a really nice driver. I think, you know, addition, you know, there's a look down by the golf ball. It's a great looking club. You've got that gloss top, that carbon effect there. So we're going to start off with the ZX5. So the difference between these two initially straight away as a visual is the 5 is a larger footprint than the 7. So 7 is a little bit more of a compact head in relation to the 5. So maybe a little bit more weight in the back of the club, as you can probably see on the bottom of the sole there, that weight central position right at the back. You know, we know that pulls the centre of gravity sort of low and also back, helps to increase the MOI, which is ultimately the sort of forgiveness on your miss hits. But let's start with this. Got 9.5 in both heads, exactly the same shaft, which is the hazardous smoke in a 6.5. As I say, it looks great down by that golf ball, sits really well, lovely, sort of quiet, subtle look, black face, black top. Okay, that's not a bad opening shot. Quite a loud sound to that, very distinctive sound. So, club speed 114, 164 ball speed, nice ball speed. That's a lovely opener, nice spin there at 2.6. Right in my sort of sweet spot there. Okay, that was a little bit low in the club face, beautifully straight though. Yeah, touch low on the strike. You can just see what that spin does there. Probably just pop a little bit, yeah, 3-1 just from that low strike, but it's, I mean, it's a good shot, isn't it? It's going to stay on that, down that fairway. So the sort of technology we've got happening, just quickly, I know I've done a review video of this, but we've got the rebound frame in here, which sort of is all around sort of trying to transfer energy back into that golf ball, obviously increasing ball speed to maximise distance. We've obviously got that weighted screws we talked about in that back of the sole, again helping with forgiveness MOI. So this ZX5 probably typically aimed more around that sort of mid to high handicap golf, a little bit more forgiveness, slightly bigger footprint, a little bit more confidence inspiring. But then again, you know, you will easily get pros could easily use that ZX5. Again, it's very personal. It is, you know, when they sort of say, you know, a 5 to a 7, 7 more compact, generally that's the better player, better ball striker, but that's not necessarily the case. So it's really dial it in, and again, this is where you would go for a fit in and try these two clubs. And if you know, if you're a good ball striker, there's no reason. You might be a 16 handicapper, but you're a really good ball striker. 7 could be perfect if you're trying to reduce some spin or just wanting to try and get a slightly lower ball flight. So it is always vague in terms of which these clubs are aimed at. Very much depends on your individual ability and what suits you. Oh, that's a little bit up the left. Struck that pretty well. Might be touch heel. Just pulled it. So even though we've got that carbon crown, which sometimes we associate as like quite a muted sound to the acoustics of the club when you're ball striking, that's quite loud really. You know you've hit it. Definitely more of a louder sound. Yeah, it is loud. But you know what, loud, everybody's different. You could get used to that. The ball flight's really good on that. Very strong ball flats are really, wow, that's a quick club head speed for me. 117, moving that now. 167. Yeah, just tweaking those up the left. Probably just do maybe, we've got the adjustability to the next lead there, so I could probably just loft that down a little bit. Maybe just open that face up a tiny bit. Okay, we'll hit one more with the 5 and then we'll move into that 7. Yeah. It's got all those, just a little bit pulley. Not a million miles away. Okay, right, let's move into that ZX7. Right, okay, so ZX7, as we mentioned, a little bit more of a compact head. It's not massively compact, but just a little bit more sort of squashed from that face to the back edge, not quite as long in the back. Now, when you flip the club over and look at the sole, we've now got no weight in the centre at the back, but we've got 2 weights in the heel and the toe towards the back. So a little bit more adjustability and moving that centre of gravity more left and right in the club. So a little bit more draw bias, phase bias as an easier way of thinking of things. So very same look, black face, gloss top, a little bit of carbon, touch of a little red lipstick at the back. Another good looking driver. Okay, and that is different sounding. Straight away there, that's a better sound for me personally. Nice straight shot. Wasn't as loud, wasn't as tinny. It's probably the easiest way to describe that. A little bit more muted. That's a great ball flight. That's nice and straight. Straight down that line. 305, that's good. So again, going back to what we're talking about, you go, 5 is possibly aimed at more that mid-high handicapper, 7 more that better player, but it very much depends on your personal feelings around the golf club. Now, for me, again, this is me personally, the 7 I like. Straight away, if I put these 2 clubs up in a pro shop, I put these down, I'm instantly drawn a little bit to that 7. Just that little bit of that shaping of the head just ticks a little box for me. But having said that, I could quite easily play that 5. Yeah, it's a lovely ball flight. Again, a little bit more neutral now. So it's got a little bit pulley with the 5. These are a little bit more neutral to slightly right biased. Again, some good ball speed, some really good sort of spin numbers there. Launch spin, really good in my area. 289 on the fly. Okay, just pop that one up a little bit higher in that club face. Just pop that launch up. You see that 14.8, there's my strike. Just dropped a tiny bit of ball speed, but done okay, because just got that slightly higher launch. Just gets that little bit of carry. A little bit of left to right fade on that one, nice and straight. So really the difference between the 5 and the 7, the technology is all the same, it's just they've got the adjustability in the 7. So for that golfer who's looking, maybe wants that little bit more draw or that fade biased, you've got those options in the head. You've still got the adjustable neck sleeve, which can add loft, reduce loft, open the club face, and also adjust lie. So tons of adjustability to really dial that in. That's available on both models there in that neck sleeve. Okay, little Healy one just to finish off on. Okay, so Srixon ZX5, slight large head, weight pulled back against ZX7, slightly more compact in that head, a little bit more adjustability heel to toe to dial it in. Let's just go and check a few numbers out between those 2 clubs. Okay, so let's have a look at the dispersions on the left side and also then the side on and top view of the ball flights themselves. So the white that's flashing was the ZX5. So you could see just maybe a little bit more of that left sort of bias to maybe that club for me personally. Again, I had both those set as standard settings, 9.5. There is options to dial it down, but I want to keep the just from that standard setting. Generally I have my stuff standard, to be honest, but maybe in that 5 I could probably just open that club face up a little bit to try and alter that left biased sort of pattern. Move into the flashing of the orange there, and again side on view ball flight, you can see very different there, isn't it? Just obviously something in the head there, just a little bit more neutral for me personally. Both sat the same, one didn't sit more open than the other. Again, I had them both in that standard setting, but just a little bit of a different pattern, a little bit of a tighter dispersion there. And then when we look at the numbers there, you see 115.4, 114.8. I had a couple of real quick ones in there, and I did feel like I was moving that quite quick, to be honest. I had a bit of confidence moving that, and there's a couple of 117s, which is fast for me. Ball speed wise, 164.3, 168.8. So obviously a couple of those quicker ones there. See 167 has just pumped that up a little bit more. Better launch there. I think that launch with the 7 was a bit more neutral. A couple came out a little bit low. They were sort of a little bit pulley, a little bit low, maybe a little bit heel on the strikes. Just obviously going to affect that launch as the ball comes out. But controlled the spin pretty well, to be honest, for that. Weight back there, 2673, couple of Healy strikes. You can see, just got to climb it a little bit, but controlled it fairly well. And you see 2758 on the ZX7, which you would have thought that would spin a little bit less, being a little bit more compact in the head. But both very good numbers. So 283, 277, a little bit more out of that because of the launch with a spin. In terms of that carry distance, but you can see not a lot of difference in the total. So a little bit more of a higher flight there with the 7 against the 5, again purely through that shot direction. Okay, so there you go, ZX5 against ZX7. So for me, a bit of a brand that just goes under the radar, especially in that driver category. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is that if you've got a Srixon driver in your bag, have you tested it? What were your thoughts with it? It's a price point that's up there with the, you know, your big boys in the driver category. You know, your Sim 2 from TaylorMade. It's a very similar sort of price point to that, so it is up there. But sometimes a driver well, for me personally, nobody really comes in to ask to hit the Srixon driver. That's all I'm going to say. That's probably where it's at, isn't it? But it is a good product. Okay, appreciate watching the video as always. If you've enjoyed it and you haven't subscribed, very much appreciate it. Just take the time, hit that subscribe button. Also, while you're there, ring that bell so any new video that lands on my channel, you'll get a notification. You will not miss a thing, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.